Hey, good morning. This is me and my buddy Ruger saying hello, wishing you guys an amazing Tuesday morning. You guys have no idea how much this little feller has grown in just the last couple of days, guy, or couple of weeks. I don't know, maybe it's been 3 weeks or so since we got him, but he is going to be a monster. Check out the paws on this guy. We think he's a boxer, pit bull, and a little bit of mastiff potentially in that black nose and the black eyebrows. We think he might have a little bit of mastiff in him. So hopefully he is going to be massive because of the mastiff. We were hoping to get a big doggy out of this. His little sister is laying down beneath me in my feet, but this little guy wanted to be up and be part of the show today. You're going to go fall asleep now, aren't you, huh? You're going to go fall asleep, yeah? Let Daddy have a good live stream, show people how to have some fun trading, make some money in cryptocurrency, huh? Yeah, you go to sleep for me? Okay, sounds good. We got a deal. Mwah. All right, good morning, folks. Hope you are doing fantastic, and I am doing fantastic. So for any of you at home keeping score, Brad Varnell is having a fantastic day, guys. I hope you guys are doing wonderful too. Just so much to be grateful for, but one of the reasons that I'm doing fantastic too, even though I am doing fantastic, is once again, I'm always feeding my mind. And I heard something yesterday, and, I heard it this way before, but just imagine that you went and bought one of your kids a gift and you brought it home to them today. And they just kind of looked down on it with disdain and said, "Oh, that's great, Dad," or "That's great, Mom. Thanks a lot." And then just kind of threw it over their head and went on their way, didn't show any appreciation, weren't grateful at all. I'm sure that most of you that are parents would just go right back out and buy another gift, right? No, of course not. As a parent, hey, if you're gonna whimper and whine, we get you down here with your sister. If they weren't grateful, you wouldn't have the desire to give them any more. And so, I really realized in my life that when I start to focus on what I don't have, I get myself in the wrong frame of mind. And I got to remember that sometimes some of the things that right now that I'm frustrated about and that I'm, wake up in the morning, wishing I didn't have this challenge, wishing I didn't have this problem. If I really think about it and I go back 2, 3, 4, 5 years in my life, I was praying for these problems in a roundabout way. For a long time, I have asked the Lord to bless this YouTube channel and to help me to help thousands of people to create financial freedom in their life. And now that things are starting to roll and head in the right direction, I wake up in the morning sometimes and I'm stressed out and I'm like, man, what am I going to say today? We've done this Monday mindset every day now for a year. I'm running out of things to talk about. I got this Trader Tuesday and I don't really know which way the markets move. Oh my gosh, man. I'm Microcap Wednesday, whatever. And then, this new crypto project and blah, 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 blah. It kind of reminds me of a guy I was talking to not too long ago, that him and his wife were struggling and struggling and struggling to have a baby. Like they tried for 5 years to finally have a baby. And they finally have this beautiful baby, this bundle of joy. And not too long ago, this gentleman was in his office working hard, trying to write a book, do some things in his life. And all of a sudden, his 2.5-year-old son came running in and started knocking stuff off the shelves and making a bunch of noise. And for a moment, this man kind of bristled. He got ready to not yell at his 2.5-year-old. You don't yell at 2.5-year-olds, but he got ready to be stern and tell his 2.5-year-old, "Hey, can't you see that Daddy's working? I'm doing important stuff here, and please go back in with Mommy, and I'll spend some time with you in a little bit." And then it hit him like a ton of bricks that for 5 years, him and his wife prayed and struggled and fought to have this little boy. And now here he is on the verge of being frustrated by the very thing that he prayed for and that God blessed him with. And so often in life, I think that happens to us, guys. We pray and we pray and we pray and we want something and we work for it, and then we finally get it. And then instead of being grateful, we end up figuring out ways to let it frustrate us and upset us and wish it were different and so on and so forth. And so I just simply wanted to start this morning off saying, man, be grateful for what you have. Odds are, if you're watching this morning, that means you've got electronics, you've got a computer, you got a cell phone, you got something that you can watch me on, which probably means you're better off than about 75 to 90% of the world. You probably got running water, you probably have electricity, you've probably got clothes, you've probably got a place to live. I don't think there's a whole lot of homeless people that are probably making it a priority to, get on and watch YouTube channels. God bless them if they are. If they, one of the first things that I would do if I was homeless is I would keep on feeding my mind and stuff. But my point is, just the fact that you're able to watch this video today means that you're probably doing a lot better in life than you might be giving yourself credit for. And you might, some of the things that you're frustrated about can probably be overcome with a little bit of gratitude. So with that, let's get over to the chat, man. It looks like there's a lot of people here. We're looking forward to having a fantastic day. We got some good trades in play, man. We're up 300% on one trade. We're up a little over 100% on another trade. Looking forward to showing some of you guys that. We got Mr. Dave P. I don't really know what all Red Rocket Countdown, Liftoff, Red Rocket Countdown, Liftoff, Red Rocket Liftoff Countdown. Awesome, man. Whatever that means. I hope it's getting people fired up and excited to be here. So thank you. Oh, my goodness, dog. Okay. This is it, though. Go to sleep. So, Mr. Dave P., good morning. Thank you for being here. Hope you're having a fantastic day. We got Mr. Eric Bernstein in the house. Hello, hello. How are you doing? You guys want a puppy? I know your little ones would love a puppy, Eric. Huh? I could probably orchestrate a little something for you if you want a puppy. Let me see here. We have AAA Lee in the house. We've got Mr. Infinite Crypto here that doesn't know how to spell good in the house. Good morning, Mr. Infinite Crypto. And then let me see here. Let's scroll down this screen a little bit further. There he is, the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Greg Nowak. Good morning, my friend. Hope you are doing fantastic. Mr. Pablo Noodles. Hello, hello. Hope you are doing fantastic. Holy smokes. I shouldn't even say anything. You guys might not have noticed it, but look how off kilter my camera is. Right before the show started, these little guys were running around, and one of them smashed into my camera. I got it set back up to where it's sitting where I want it, but I just noticed it's off kilter by about half an inch. So the trouble is I ain't got time to walk around and change it. So you guys are just going to have to put up with it. Just focus on my beautiful head. I do want to apologize to you all. I did get a little bit of a late start today, and I owe you a sincere apology. I did not have a chance to comb my hair today. And so I apologize to you guys for that, but you're just going to have to deal with it all being, all messed up and all, going in a bunch of different directions and stuff. There's nothing I can do about it at this point. And we got Zida. Good morning. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hope you are doing fantastic. We got Mr. Tim G in the house. Good morning, Tim, or I should say good afternoon, Tim. Hope you are doing wonderful. And Mr. Chucks, man, Chucks Wainwright, good morning. Hope you guys are all having a fantastic day. And with that, let me share my screen over here. Let's get this screen shared over here so you guys can see that my WEEX account here. And then we're going to run over to the futures account and just give you a quick update from last week. We got our Polkadot trade that you guys voted on is up 97%. It was 101 a few minutes ago. Wish I would have got on the screen when it was up 100%, but this one is up 100%. Our Matic Polkadot or Matic Polygon trade from a few weeks ago is our, this one from a few weeks ago is literally up 306%. We got in at Matic. I tried to let you guys know that I really believe that Matic was close to bottoming out. We got in it here at a little over 18. And with that, we're up 300% on this, and in no hurry to liquidate it. Both of these positions were smaller positions. But, with that, let's take a peek over here at, CoinGecko. So we can see here that Bitcoin has been relatively flat. I mean, I guess 4.6% is nothing to sneeze at. I guess when we were on here last week, I think we were sitting at about 93K Bitcoin, something like that. And so, yeah, we are sitting at a little bit over 94, going on 95, which is a good place to be. Would really love to see us have a sharp upswing and get back up, and break that all-time high of around $108,000. That would really show some exuberance in the markets. That would show that we might be really ready to make some big moves. And, now that I have a cryptocurrency project of my own that I'm getting ready to launch, I'm thinking about this a lot more. Like in the past, I've been pretty patient, certainly, in it for the long term. And I still am too. The project that we're going to be launching is super exciting. It's something that should be around for years and years and years to come. But it still feels good if we get this baby launched right before Bitcoin 2025. And we watch Bitcoin, have a massive rally up to 110, 115, 120,000, and really, on the verge of a massive altcoin cycle. That could be the difference between, my project doing a 10 to 20x and doing 100 to 200x. And man, if you get a project like this that just launches and that we're all a part of, and we get some kind of spectacular, upswing like that, it's really going to be amazing for a lot of people. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed that we are on the verge of that, massive super cycle that we're all, kind of been waiting for, that altcoin season that hasn't ever seemed to come to fruition during this bear market, or bull market, excuse me. Why do I keep saying bear market? We're in a bear market for so long. And then really, even over the last year or so, even though we've been in what most people would consider to be a bull market, it really hasn't been profitable for a lot of people, because the tokens that we need and that we want to see go flying up have just kind of hung out. Like, Bitcoin is about the only token with a few exceptions that has done anything exciting during, the last year or so. So it's hard for me to almost, to use the word like bull market. For me, if somebody asked me, hey, have you been in a crypto bull market for the last year? I'd say no, not really. Yeah, we've had a couple of good months here and there, and Bitcoin's done well, but for the most part, 99% of the tokens that I'm excited about and that I'm looking forward to them having massive upswings, it just hasn't happened yet. But I'm trying to remember, guys, my organization skills sometimes. Last week when we were talking, I think I wrote it down here. Let me see if I can find it on my notebook real quick. We were looking at 4 different tokens. So let's see if I can go back and figure out what page I'm on here for that, because I'd like to go back over. I wrote down the 4 tokens. Here we go. All right. So let's take a quick peek. Last week, we looked at 4 tokens and we voted on which one I should put in a long on, and it ended up being Polkadot. And so, but I wanted to go back and see, how we did on that, and if we would have been better off doing another token. So let's go ahead and take a quick peek at the 4 tokens. We'll go ahead and look at DOT first. So Polkadot, if we go here and look, Polkadot was up. 7-day range was 388 all the way up to 345. It's currently sitting at 426, from 388 to 426. And if we look at this chart here, 7-day chart, it's up 10.2% according to CoinGecko. So 10.2% on the week. The next token that we were looking at that we didn't win, so we didn't place a trade on it, was Atom. OM, Brad. OM. So Cosmos Hub Atom. Atom was sitting at $4.22, and it's now $4.48. So I can tell that we are better off, much better off with Polkadot than we were with Atom. You can see here, Atom is up 6.5%. Still not a bad little trade. 6.5% with 10x leverage is still a 65% gain. The third token that we were looking at was HBAR. And it was at 17.61 cents. Now it's at 18.85 cents. So it's still not up as much. Yep, another one here, 6.5%. That is awesome. 6.5% for that one too. But Polkadot is still the winner. And then last but not least, we had ICP. So Internet Computer, as you can see, everything, had a pretty good week, but ICP was only up by 3.5%. So we ended up definitely, between you and me and all of us, we picked the winner, man. That was solid, man. We picked a nice winner there with Polkadot. I don't want to take all day, but let's see if I can pull this up here real quick. Let me see here. I think this is the Trader 2 here. Hey, look at that guy with all that facial hair and that horseshoe. Trying to find where we did trying to figure out when we did the vote. Trying to find the vote. This might not be the right video. I'm sorry, guys. Let me go one more time here. So we've got today's Tuesday Trader. Yeah, this is the last Tuesday Trader right here. And I know that we had a time where we were looking at the chat, looking at the votes from the chat. Let me stop that. Was it after? And I thought it was kind of towards the end. Oh, is this it here? No. Yeah, no chat there. All right, I got some homework. If somebody can figure out what minute mark we were doing the poll last week when you guys were voting on the token that we were gonna vote on, I'm not seeing it. Should have been white. Like my comments are usually in white, although I don't remember what screen I was on. I might have been looking at it on YouTube, but I'm not seeing anywhere in this stream. Like, we already put the dot trade in there. So it had to have been before that. We were just in the margin here. This is part of when we were looking at coin market cap. I wonder. No, and then we were back on we've got to be right here somewhere, guys. Nope, somewhere in this 50-minute range or so. Anyways, if somebody could find the minute mark when I started taking the poll and you all started putting 1, 2, 3, or 4 in the chat, That would be awesome, man. I would greatly appreciate it, but I don't want to waste everybody's time looking for that. But I did want to, give a shout out and let the people know that voted for #1 last time that they picked the winner. And I did want to see if anybody from last week that picked the winner, if any of those people were still here, if they were around watching the show today. So, with that, folks, let's what do we got here? Mr. Greg says, I was hoping for a $150 AVAX token by now. The wait goes on. Yeah, absolutely. That's another big one in my portfolio. And, the real estate investor friend that I have here in Kingman, Arizona has a ton of Avalanche. So the good news is that we've had an opportunity to, dollar cost average and get some Avalanche at some extremely, extremely good prices. So when it does make its move, we will make more money on it than we would have if it would have moved a little bit quicker. But for some of you that are newer to the channel, we've already 26 minutes into this and I haven't said anything of any value. And so I want to give you guys some value for being here. I want to just reiterate really quickly, folks, when you're like, what is this Varnell Trader Tuesdays? What is the Varnell Trader system? So really quickly, in a nutshell, I don't like to have to sit in front of a computer for 8, 10, 12 hours a day looking for setups, putting in orders that are only going to run for 15 minutes to 2 or 3 hours. Part of the reason for that is, I just got other things to do in my life. And so it's one thing if you set up a trade and you're just going to you're looking to get in and out in 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes. Hey, more power to you. But all of a sudden, when things come up and you need, like nothing happens and you got to be an hour or two, well, then it's a lot of work. You got to either just sit here right at the computer screen, staring at the computer screen, seeing what's going to happen. Obviously you can just put in a stop loss and kind of forget about it. But the longer a trade goes after you put it in, the more things that, can change. And so sometimes you might want to, add to a trade, add to a position. Sometimes you might just, see something developing and you actually have the ability to take, a break even or just a tiny, tiny win or a tiny, tiny loss. Where if you put a stop loss in, then you're just kind of at the, at the will of the token. And so I don't really love having to put trades in and then just kind of stare at my computer screen. The other thing is, there's a lot of folks out there in this economy that are hurting a little bit. And, there's a lot of tokens out there that if you could go buy $5,000 or $10,000 worth of a few tokens, you could set yourself up to make, millions of dollars. I think if somebody had 50 grand laying around, they could go buy $10,000 worth of, 5 tokens or $5,000 worth of 10 tokens and have a legitimate shot of being a millionaire by the peak of this bull run. But, let's face it, most people don't have 50 grand laying around and most people don't even have $10,000 laying around. And so I wanted to create something that would help my viewers that, had 25 here, 50 there, 100 here, 200 there, 500, give you guys an opportunity to place some trades that could make you some massive, massive upside. And so the Varnell Trader system is really designed to try to find tokens that we believe have bottomed out or are close to the bottom and to get some small trades in. And then we do what I call ladder trades to back those trades up. So to give you, a quick example, if you put in a trade on a token at $1, it was $1 and you longed it at 10x leverage. If that token goes down to 90 cents, you would lose all of your money. You would have a 10% margin when you're using 10x leverage. So if you put $1,000 into a trade on a token at $1, if it goes down to 90 cents, you're liquidated. You lose the whole $1,000. Now, had you bought that token on an exchange and just been holding it in your wallet, you would still have $900 worth of value. So that's the other thing for those of you that decide, hey, I don't want to mess with this trading game. I understand. But what I did is I decided to, let's say that I put a trade in on a token at $1, and now I know that my liquidation price is 90 cents. I now go in and place another trade at, say, 90.25 cents. And I normally put the second trade in the ballpark of double, at least a time and a half, but double preferably the first trade. Now I go down 10% of 90 is 9. So basically the next liquidation point would be at around 82 cents. So I go in and I place another trade at a little over 82 cents. And that's going to get me 8.2 cents, which takes me all the way down to, call it like 75 cents. So by placing the initial trade at $1 and then placing a trade in at 90.25 and then a trade in at 80, at 81, I get all the way down to about a 75 cent liquidation price. Now, if I need to, I can go in. Let's say that it goes down to 90 and that second trade gets executed. And then the next thing I know, it's on its way down to, to 81. Well, at that point in time, I can always scrape up some more money and put in a trade at 75 cents, which is going to get me all the way down. 7.5 from 75 gets me all the way down to, 67 cents, 67.5 cents. So in effect, I've created this ladder system which allows me to keep from getting liquidated, even if something has a 20 or 30% drop. And on the plus side, all of those trades that are coming in are worth a little bit more money than the first and the second, and so on and so forth. So by the time it gets down to that 67.5 cent range, I probably have several $100s in the trade instead of just a few dollars. And so to give you guys more of a visual, let me pop over here. So I don't know how well you can see this on your screen, but this Polygon trade, I put it in at 18.28 cents. So 10% of 18 cents is roughly 1.8 cents. So if you subtract 1.8, you get a liquidation price right here at 0.16574. So I don't have it there anymore because it's gone up so much, but I then took this 16574 and I went in and I placed another trade at just slightly higher than that. Now, in this situation, I did a good job of picking the bottom, and it never came anywhere near liquidating. And now it's up, like I said, 300%. But in one sense, I'm disappointed. If it would have came down and hit that 16.5 range and I would have got another $100 into it, that would have been phenomenal. But at the same time, I want to give you guys, I know a lot of you have seen this before, but this was just a 19. You can see it over here on the left-hand side of the screen where my mouse is. I only got a little over $19 into this trade because I knew if it kept going lower, I was going to back it up with more and more money. And by the time you get to that third or fourth ladder, even if you're starting off at $20, $25, you could be up to, you could be putting in 200 or 300 on the last trade to protect yourself. But anyways, if we go here to this take profit button and we put in $1, we say that we believe that Polygon Matic is going to go up to $1. And if you go look at the charts, folks, and anybody that knows anything about Polygon knows that $1 it's been $1 multiple times over the last 4 years. Even during parts of the bull, during part of the bear market, it was $1. So $1 is like almost a foregone conclusion. That would give me a profit of 4,400%. So 4,468, so a little over 44x. So just, for even math, let's just say that I put $20 into it and I was getting a 40x. So that gives me the ability to turn this $20 bill into $800. And so folks, for those of you that don't have thousands of dollars to go out and buy tokens with, just spot, then this gives you an opportunity to change the wealth needle in your life by getting some of these trades in. Now, obviously, $19 isn't an ideal amount. I would have liked to have gotten a little bit more. That's what I had in my account at the time. There was some other stuff going on in my life. Normally this first trade would have been more like 20 times. And in this case, with Polygon being one of my biggest plays, one of my biggest, things that I'm pretty sure about, I probably wouldn't even have minded starting this trade out at 100. And I hope that some of you that have been watching over the last few weeks got a trade in on Polygon. So do me a favor, guys. If there's anybody watching this video that over the last couple, 2 or 3 weeks, because of this show, put in a long on Polygon and you're happy that you did, please throw a 1 in the chat. I'm curious if any of you that were watching have gone and done any type of a long trade on Polygon before it made this move. While we're waiting in the chat, folks, look at this though. Polygon was a $3 token during the last bull run. If it goes up to $3, that's 154x. So, 150 times 20 is $3,000. So this $19 little seemingly insignificant trade could definitely potentially be worth $3,000 to me. And we've got a friend on the show, and a gentleman named Mr. Deadwood, that he really believes that we could see $4.50 Polygon Matic. And that's looking at it scientifically, looking at it through charts, looking at all of the numbers, not just, hey, I think Polygon can do this. That would be a 236x. So what's 236 times 20? I don't know. I think it's around $4,700 roughly. So $20 turned into $47. Well, folks, how many $20 bills do you got to turn into $4,700 to have some life-changing wealth? If you had these trades in on 5, 10, 15 different tokens, or if you just did slightly bigger numbers on a smaller amount of tokens, you could be there very easily. So like, once again, let's say that I did $100 in on this trade instead of 20. Well, now I would have $100 times 236. So that's 23,600. So my $100 could be worth 23,000 if this thing goes up to $4.50. So if you did that 5 times, that's pretty close to 100 grand. At 23,000 times 4 or 5. Well, actually at 5, it's over 100 grand. At 4, it's over 90 grand. And so that's why I get excited about this. Now, I know over the last few months, we've had a lot of volatility. Those of you that have been playing around with this have probably gotten liquidated a few times. But folks, let's say that you threw 100 at this and you lost it. You threw another 100 at this and you lost it. You threw 100 at this and you lost it. You lost. And then all of a sudden, after 5, 6, 7 tries, we finally catch the bottom. And now your $100 over the next couple, 2 or 3 months turns into 10 grand, 15 grand, 20 grand. Are you really all that upset about the $500 that it took to get us all the way down to the bottom? Hopefully your answer is no, you wouldn't be that upset. So that is, kind of the power of this trade. Same thing on this Polkadot trade. We got into this thing at $3.88. I showed you all why I believe that was very close to the bottom. $3.67 was one of the lowest prices that it had gone to, and it had sprung back up from that very quickly anytime it was in that range. And here we are. We're up 100% on this Polkadot trade. I only did $30 into this, but once again, if we do the take profit, this token was a $50 token during the last bull market. Let's just say that it gets up to $15. $15, that's a 28x. So 28 times 30, that's 608, about $840 for a $30 trade. Let's say that it goes back up to halfway to its all-time high and goes to $25. That's a 54x. So $30 times 54 is going to be another $1,500, about $1,620, $1,620 from a $30 trade. And then, let's get aggressive. Let's say that this thing goes all the way back up to its all-time high. We're at 118x times 30. That's over about right around $3,300, $3,400, $3,500 on 30 bucks. And then last but not least, there's a lot of people in the crypto space that really believe that when Polkadot hits its stride, that it could be a $75 or $100 token. So this is not financial advice. I don't have a crystal ball. I don't know if it's going to 75 or not, but let's say that it went to 75. That'd be 183. That right? Yeah, 183x. So 183x times 30 is what, 3,000, and then another 3 times 8 is 24. So I call it $5,500 on this $30 Polkadot trade. So with that, I'm going to run back over to the chat. 59-minute mark. Greg, you are something else, brother. I appreciate you so much. I guess it was very quick. So 59. Here we go. Let's watch this together for a second, folks. Oh no. I didn't bring up the screen, so we can't actually see the chat. All right. I see what I did here. I had it up on my split screen. I can see all of the chat here to my left. So I was watching the chat, but it wasn't actually getting recorded. So do me a favor. If you weren't here last week and you didn't vote on Polkadot, please don't act like you did. I mean, I'm going to go back and watch the video. I believe that I'd be able to see, once I pull it up and pull up the, I wonder, I guess what I could do is just go to, well, that's weird. This, no, I guess I would have to just go back to the live version. I don't know why either. This is weird. I should be able to, oh, here we go. Chat replay. Okay. Here, let's see if that works. There we go. Sometimes you got to be smarter than the computer. Get rid of that sound. And so it looks like here, folks, we had Resident Crypto. Resident Crypto voted on number 1. We had Greg voted on number 2, Dave on number 3, Donnie on number 4. We had Cyber Sorcerer also vote on number 1. Nyan Jonah voted on number 2. Sanjay GTR voted on number 1. Any of the people? Yeah, Donnie, I see that you voted. Absolutely. It's right here. I just saw your name. Where'd it go? Yeah, right here, Donnie. That's you. You voted on number 4. And Polkadot was the winner. Number 1 was the winner. So you did vote. Well, you got, so we got Sam XO, God Will Make Everything Better, XM Textile, Dylan Crypto, Nicholas, Pop-Up Gorilla, Tulsa King. So quite a few people there that voted on number 1 last week. If any of you that voted on number 1 last week are still here and watching this show today, please let me know. Make a comment in the chat. Let me know that you voted on the Polkadot. In the meantime, let's pop over here again for just a quick second. Let me get my screen back over here to CoinGecko, and then let's do something here real quick. I want to place another couple of trades, or at least one more trade for you guys today, and show you how everything shook out. Greg says something that's very important. Greg says the problem is that very, very few people will hold a trade that long. Most people would close after they double up. Hey, Greg, I agree with you. Maybe most people wouldn't. But once again, if your goal is to just double up, then probably, you're looking at a slightly different strategy. You don't necessarily kind of need to wait for things to look like they've bottomed out. You're not having to put in any ladder trades necessarily. You're more of, like a crypto lifer. Crypto lifer is an example. I know that Greg, you learned a tremendous amount from him. I'm still learning from him. And I love Sam Price. I think he's one of the best traders on the planet. It's also what he does for a living. And so I feel like for folks, that have a wife and kids, that have full-time jobs, trying to put enough time into the charts is going to be a pretty big feat. And trying to make money with the crypto lifer system when you're that busy, it's not impossible, but you definitely have to be super dedicated. You got to get ready for work in the morning, go to work, drive to work all day, come home, and then basically ignore, the people that you love within reason, to sit on a computer looking for setups and figuring things out. See, the difference between Sam Price and I'm not saying that I'm right by any means. He's had a lot more success, in trading than I have by 100,000x. So I'm definitely not saying that what I'm doing is better. I just know that for my lifestyle, it works a little bit better. But yeah, folks, Greg brings up a good point. You got to have a plan. We talked about this a few episodes ago. I went over the 7 things that were keeping you from being successful as a trader. And one of those was having a plan. You got to know what your plan is. If you are putting these trades in with a goal like I am of letting them run up and do 25, 50, 100x for you, then you got to stick with your plan. Now, if Polkadot gets up to 15, am I going to sell it? Probably not, because the odds of it coming down and getting liquidated at that point are basically zero. And if it does start to come down and it looks like we're just headed back into the worst bear market that we've ever seen, I can sell it at $10 or $8. And yeah, maybe I didn't sell it at the peak and make as much money as I could. But once this thing rolls up to 7, 8, 10, 12, 15 bucks, and I've got no worries about getting liquidated, I'm not going to be in any hurry to sell. I want to try to get closer to the peak of the market. I believe Polkadot, not financial advice, is going to do much better than 15. When Bitcoin is at a 150, 175, 200, I believe Polkadot will be at a much higher price than 15. So I'm in no hurry to sell this. Same thing, Polygon runs up to $1. Even at $1, that's over a 5x plus the 10x leverage. That'd be about a 50x. So my $20 would be worth about $1,000 with Matic at $1. But there's no way I'm selling it at that point in time, because once it hits that dollar and gets rolling past it, I think we've got $2, $3, $4, $5 on the horizon. So I agree with you, Greg. It's kind of like Bitcoin, folks. Like, everybody wants to say, man, I wish I would have bought Bitcoin when it was $1,000. And although I agree with you, I wish I would have bought Bitcoin when it was $1,000. I'm also man enough to admit that I wouldn't own it any longer, probably. That's another thing. Like, I really have a lot of respect for Sam Price. He's got Bitcoin that he bought back at $1,000 that he's still holding, and he's adding to it. He just added a bunch of Bitcoin when it was down at 78 to 82,000, and he's already up, a bunch of money on that Bitcoin that he bought a couple of weeks ago. I got to be honest. If I would have bought Bitcoin, let's say I put 10 grand into Bitcoin when it was $1,000 a token, absolutely no way that when that got to be worth 100 grand, 200 grand, I mean, at the absolute most, maybe I would have somehow held it until it got to be worth, say, like 10,000 a token. So, or 20, like 20. Okay. So let's say that I held it all the way until, January of 2018, it's $20,000 a token, and my 10 grand is worth 200 grand. And at that point in my life, I've never had more than, $10,000 or $20,000 to my name. I'm selling it. So, you're right, Greg, but that's true of just about everything. Like, you could be an Aerodrome right now, which was a 30-cent token a couple of weeks ago. And I think it's all the way up to 60 cents. And, I think Aerodrome's going to be a $5 or $10 or $20 token. There'll be a lot of people that bought it at 30 cents that sell it at $2 or $3, and they won't own it still when it's 20 or 30. So that's kind of a universal problem, Greg, that people have, whether they buy spot, whether they're trading, no matter what they're doing. It's hard to have diamond hands and to really hold these things long enough a lot of times. Let me see here in the chat. Yeah, we got a bunch of people here today that voted for those tokens. So that's awesome, man. Let's have a little contest between, we got XM Textile, we got Sanjay, we got J Dot, we got Cyber Sorcerer, we got God is Everything. God makes everything better. So let's see here. We got, what did I just say here? We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I see 6 people that voted for Polkadot. So we're going to do a little, let me pull up random number generator here. So Tulsa King voted for Dot. There's Tulsa King. I see Tulsa King. So that's 7. And that's it, guys. If you haven't made it clear that you're here, you're too late. This is it. We've been talking now. This has been 5, 6, 7 minutes since I asked you guys to get into the chat. So we're stopping at 7. Let's get back over here to share my screen. And let's go over here to my random number generator. 1 minimum, 10 max. We're going to do 7. Well, looks like we're going to do 8 because for some reason this doesn't want to change. Obviously, 8 isn't a winner, but we're going to go 1 through 7, and we're just going to do it in order. Og Life is 1, XM is 2, Sanjay GTR is 3, J Dot is 4. Cyber Sorcerer 5, God will make everything better is 6, and Tulsa King is 7. Is this going to work for me? There we go. 2. Who is 2? XM Textile. XM Textile. Shoot me your WEEX UID number, and I will get $25 over to you in WEEX tokens. Congratulations for winning 25 extra bucks. Folks, that means we're going to give away $75 today, because the WEEX exchange has generously given us $50 worth of WEEX tokens to give away too. So we're going to be giving away $50 in WEEX tokens. Once again, folks, this should be able, if the description was done correctly, which I believe it was, you should be able to go sign up for WEEX very easily. We've got the right here, new exchange giveaway. This link right here will give you the ability to register for links. And my team is just about finished up with the tech and everything that I need to be able to just pick from people that have the WEEX exchange already account already created. Hopefully next week at the very latest, we're going to be able to start doing the giveaways through people that have already created a WEEX account. But XM, if you don't have a WEEX account, go create one through this link, and we will get you $25 in tokens, the WEEX tokens. There's the link too again, folks. So for everybody in the chat, oh my goodness, my microphone's blocking my mouse. I keep missing the spot. There we go. That is the link to get into and create a WEEX account through my referral link. So folks, if you haven't done that yet, you might as well get on it, because we're going to get ready to give away another $50 here very, very shortly. In fact, let's just go ahead and do it. Let's get the $50. No, I take that back, guys. We're not giving away the $50 yet. Sorry, buddy. I think it's important, before we move on to the giveaway, I want to show you guys real quick. I'll try to make this fast. I know we've been almost an hour, but I want those of you that are watching that don't really totally understand what in the world I'm talking about, what I'm doing, I would love to, take a quick peek. So the trouble with this week, guys, is look at the green here. Everything is a sea of green. Look at Sui. Holy smokes. Why didn't anybody tell me to go put a 10x trade in on SUI. Holy smokes, up 50% this week. Crazy. But we've got everything, you know, is up 2%, 8%, 5%, 8%, 9%. So can we pick a bottom? I think picking a bottom is going to be relatively a little hard, but I think we can do the next best thing. I think we can still find some tokens that are beaten down pretty good. You know, one of them, one of the ones that I would start with is HBAR. So I know that Mr. Pablo Noodles was getting in on a trade on HBAR back when it was 5, 6, 7, 8 cents. And he's done extremely, extremely well. It's been an incredible trade for him. We can see here, though, if we look at the charts, and let's go just to this 3-month chart here, you can see that right here, it dipped all the way down to 12 cents in April. So we know that 19 cents is by no means the bottom. But also, other than this little, if you go right here, this is about 19 cents. This was March 27th. You go over here to this little peak here. This was April 25th. So we had a 1-month period of time where this thing traded below the 19 cents. And for most of it, like right here, it's still at 17, 18 cents for a lot of this. Like this little peak here is 17, a little over 17 cents. I mean, I guess it was down in the 15s. But my point is, while I don't necessarily think that if Bitcoin crashes back down that we're anywhere near the bottom, but I think that's true of all of the tokens. If Bitcoin decides to reverse and go from 95 back to 78, everything that we're looking at right now is going to be totally wiped out. So we can't base whether or not we want to place a trade on if we think we're at the absolute bottom. But if you look at this chart and you go back out further, you can see for the months and months and months and months, this thing traded way above 19 cents. In fact, it was all the way up at 31 cents here just back on January 30th. So in my opinion, if we put in a trade at 19, that gets us 1.9 cents. You subtract 1.9 from 19 cents, you're at 18.9. You're at about 17.9. No, I guess it'd be 8, right about 18 even. 1.9 from 19 would be about 18 even. And then if you put a ladder trade in at 18, you would get 1.8. That would take you back from 18 all the way to 16.2. So that's my logic when I'm looking at these tokens. If I went and put a trade in right now at 19 cents, and then I put in a ladder trade at just over 18 cents, and then I put another ladder trade in at 16.2, that would get us from 16.2, 1.6, that's 15.2, 14.6. So that would get us all the way back to under 14 cents with a buy at 19, a buy at, or excuse me, I'm doing the math wrong. 1.9 from 19 is 17.1. So you do a buy at 19, a buy at around 17.1, and then 1.7 cents from 17 is going to take you down to 16 to about 15.3. And then another trade at 15.3 would take you all the way down to 14.3 to about 13.8. So if I have this in my head right, we do one trade at 19 cents, we do another trade at a little over 17 cents, and then we do another trade at around 15.3. 3 trades gets us all the way back to 13 cents. Well, other than right here where it just had this crazy dip for one split second, look at how fast that went down and then went back up. I mean, this thing was only below 13 cents for a minute. I mean, maybe an hour, but it was fast. Like that was a pretty quick candle there. So in my opinion, while Hedera has some downside, with 2 or 3 ladders, we could be right back up and, right back up and in a position, where even if a couple ladders hit, I'd be okay with that. So with that, folks, we're going to go place a trade on Hedera. So how do we do that? So I'm going to show you the first thing is we got our account here. The first thing you're going to want to do is deposit some funds. Click the deposit button, select the crypto that you want to deposit. There's several hundred to choose from. Once it's there, you can check out your account. And you know, I'm not carrying a bunch of money on here. I'm going to have to buy a little bit more WEEX tokens because I've only got 25 right this second. So I'm going to get another 50 in WEEX tokens to cover the giveaway. I got a couple dollars in USDT and I got a little bit of USDC. So first thing you're going to have to do, depending on what you deposit, if you deposit USDT, you'll just be ready to go. If you deposit something else, you're going to have to sell it. The easiest way to sell it is just come over here to trade now and click on that. And then I'm sure that 99% of you have bought and sold plenty of things on an exchange. So this is nothing new, but you got your sell side, you got your buy side, you got your sell side. We're selling USDT and buying USD. We're trying to sell our USDC and end up with USDT. So we're going to sell. And because I don't really care about this little minute few hundredths or few thousandths of a cent, I'm just going to sell it to this top bid here at 9997. Move that over. My $62 turns into $61.98. So I lose 2 cents selling it. Sold it. Boom. Now we got $78 in USDT. So we're ready now to start making some trades. So now the next step is to go here to the futures tab and click on USDTM futures. So we have a little bit of a downswing while we're on the show today. I mean, although that candle, I mean, it looks way worse than it is. They were talking about 95.4 up here, and it's only 94.7. So it's like a $700 move. That's not anything that I would be too worried about. So now we need to get our USDT over here. The way that we do that is we scroll down the page to this transfer button. We're transferring from spot to futures account. We want to transfer all and then confirm. And just like that, folks, now we've got $80 over here. Next step, folks, you got to come over here to where it says Bitcoin USDT, and this gives you a drop-down box to where you can find all of the tokens that you're able to put leverage trades in on. I'm just going to type in HB. HBAR should pop up. Yep. Oh. HB. Click on HBAR. And here we go. We've now got the HBAR trade. I kind of like the fact we're catching it down just a little bit here. I like this little dip. So we're going to go down here to say 18. Man, maybe we got to wait a little bit here. Catch this falling knife. I'm going to put it in at 1850 and see if it'll execute. So first thing I'm going to do is make sure that I'm where I want to be on this spot here. So it's showing at 18,859. Let's now is it going to start going back up a little bit on us? I can't tell. Yeah, now it looks like it's headed. We got a little bit of a green line there. I don't really care if I catch it at the exact bottom. I just want to place a trade. So I'm going to go here to 18,888, I guess would be. Yeah, now it just popped up to 83. And then we want to make sure here that we've got our cross combined and we've got our leverage at 20x. We don't want leverage X. We want isolated combined. And then we want this 20x to be 10x. Now, if you're, a little bit more risk tolerant, you want to trade higher, you can. But with the type of trades that I'm doing, 10x is the absolute most that I ever do. I don't like trying to. And now I guess we're not going to catch that little quick dip. It already bounced back up. So let's just do 18. Let's see where it's at here. 18,909. And then we got $80 in there. We're just going to do about 25%. Once again, we don't have to get crazy. We're going to do about 25%. All right, and there we are. We got 3 positions. Our average HBAR price was at 18,906. It's already 18,908, 18,920. So we're slightly in the profit. But just like that, we've got a little $20 trade in on HBAR. I guess it's a little bit less. But anyways, we got a little trade in here on HBAR. And now what we do, I mentioned the liquidation price is right around 17,058. So that's how close I was. I said it was going to be at around 17. It's 17,058. So now I'm going to go in here to 17. And I'm just going to do 17.1. That's plenty further, plenty higher than the liquidation price. And I'm just going to throw the other $60 into this trade at 17.1. If this thing goes down to 17.1, I'd be thrilled to get this $60 trade in. And so, folks, it's just that easy, just that fast. We got our first trade in. Now we got our first ladder trade in. That's going to take from 17 is going to take us all the way down to around 15.3. So if that 17-cent trade executes, I'll probably go put some more money in the account and get a trade in at the 15.35 to cover my trade all the way down to 13. But I very much believe that there's some possibility that we'll never see this 17 cents if Bitcoin continues to climb and do its thing. And then once again, last but not least, let's do, a take profit here. I think that HBAR is going to be $1 absolute, just almost for sure during this bull market. If things go the way that they're supposed to go, we end up with 150, 200K Bitcoin. I think we're going to have a lot of HBAR, going up. So at $1, that's a 42x. So once again, it's kind of similar to my Matic trade at $1. I'm going to turn, $20 into over $800. I think that realistically, it could even be like a $3 token towards the peak of the bear market or bull market. And that's a 148x. So that's turning, $20 into a little under $3,000. So once again, folks, you can make some substantial money with some small trades. And if you have the finances and the means to do $50, $100, $500 trades, more power to you. I definitely would not try to persuade you out of doing that. I think once you have the setup, that's part of the magic of trading, part of the, what do they call it? The skill is understanding your bankroll and risk management. If you've got $1,000 and you're going to put $1,000 of your portfolio, of your bankroll, and you're going to use it towards trading, then I would say you should start off like I am at like $20 trades. But, if you got a $10,000 bankroll and you want to go out and start placing, $100 trades, more power to you. Just remember, the bigger your trades are in relationship to your bankroll, the higher the probability is that you're going to go busted before you hit it right and have the massive trade. So what you don't want to do is lose 4 or 5 times and then not have any money to put into the 6th trade. And then the 6th trade is the one where, HBAR goes from 13.5 cents all the way up to a $2 or $3 token, and you missed it because you ran out of funds. So let's get over to the StreamYard tab. Crypto Princess, happy Tuesday. Good morning. Hope you are doing fantastic today. Thanks for being here, Mr. Daniel Espinoza. Thank you again, Tim, for reminding everybody to hit that like button. Super important, free to do, really helps the channel a ton. So thank you for reminding. And then let's see here. We're going to go to StreamYard. We don't want StreamYard. We want StreamYard.giveaway. We are going to choose the Tuesday Trader live stream, and we are going to type in something easy. Since Dot was the winner and XM Textile won because he picked Dot last week and was one of the lucky winners, let's use Dot. So, folks, for about the next 30 seconds. It's 10:09 and 50 seconds. So till about 10:10 and 30 seconds, we're going to let you guys start typing hashtag DOT into the chat. When this clock hits, we got 30 seconds now. When this clock hits 10:10 and 30 seconds, I'm going to start drawing winners. We're going to draw 2 winners today. 2 winners for $25 a piece in WEEX tokens. And you will have to go put your WEEX UID number in the chat. We got XM. I want to get him written down. XM Textile is already a winner. And then let's go. What do we got here? We're at 30 seconds, folks, and we only got about 12 of you in here. So you guys are being slow. But I said I was going to draw, so I'm going to draw. You guys can keep typing it in until I do the second draw. All right, we got Rockstar Made. Rockstar Made, congratulations for being a winner today. Throw your WEEX IUD number into the chat. And let's see what we got going on here. We're going to draw again. And we got Nico. Nico, congratulations on winning $25 in WEEX tokens. So, folks, one of the things I should have made clear is you do got to be here. You got to be here live in the chat. So please let me know that you are still here in the chat. I'm going to go over to the YouTube channel and make sure that you guys are here. And let me see here. We got Rockstar says, thank you, Brad. Come on, mouse. This mouse is I never seen anything like it. I just bought this stuff, a month or so ago. This is the worst mouse in the history of mouses. Rockstar Made here. Go to channel. And then we're going to pop up Nico and go to channel. So I've got your YouTubes pulled up here, folks. You're going to want to go here. I'm assuming, is that your UID number, Nico? You might want to make it a little bit more clear. If I wasn't actually here on the channel asking you, I would be a little nervous to just send it to that. Should put in something like WEEX UID number, something to make it clear that that's actually where I'm sending the WEEX tokens. Rockstar Made, same thing. Let me see here. Joined December of 2024. Joined March 10th of 2023. All right, you guys have been around for a little while, but try to make it clear that so Rockstar says got my WEEX ID on my channel. Okay, Nico, it looks like that's your UID number too. Okay, perfect. Glad to have you guys there. And with that, folks, hope you have a fantastic rest of your Tuesday. I am super excited for tomorrow. Looking forward to the Wednesday Microcap Gem live stream. Talk a little bit more about my token. Talk a little bit more about a voting group that we are putting together. And I think that we learned a few lessons from the last voting period. We just missed out on winning a significant airdrop. So I've got a couple of ideas for how to get some more people into the group and hopefully be able to win that vote in a couple of weeks. So we'll talk about all of that along with some incredible tokens tomorrow. With that, folks, I appreciate each and every one of you for being here. Thank you for spending this hour and 15 minutes with us. And God bless you. Have a fantastic rest of your day. We'll see you tomorrow morning. Bye-bye for now.